Hi everyone, my name is Erin Elizabeth Wamberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you are new here. Today we're talking about why do I miss something that wasn't good for me, or maybe it wasn't the best for me, or something we've outgrown, something we've had to let go. This can be a person, a relationship, a thing, a habit, a place, a job, anything, all of this. Okay, so just part of you has grown out of it. It's not a match for you 100% anymore, but then there's feelings of like, okay, well, I still miss this, which doesn't make any sense. Okay, so we're gonna talk about that. So the first thing is, as human beings, it's natural for us and normal. We crave familiarity, we crave connection, we crave things to repeat themselves, we crave anything that is like, we know what it's like, it's familiar to us, we want to be by it, we want to have this feeling over and over again. All of that is part of the interconnectedness that comes with being a human. And so anything where we, again, like, it felt familiar to us, it felt like we know it, it felt like whatever, right? That's something that is ingrained in us for safety, for survival. Just as a species, it's something that is programmed into us to want familiarity and want things that are in our comfort zone, that we know what they're going to be like, even if we don't like it, right? Even if we know, okay, this thing isn't good for me, or this doesn't happen, there's a part of us that wants something familiar just because it provides us comfort. It's, we know how it's going to go. It's not unpredictable to the ego. Again, even if it's something that we don't like, it's still predictable. We still know what it's going to be like. We know what's going to happen. And so something that we might outgrow, or we have these, that's why so many of us, we have these habits that we don't particularly like or want to continue all the time, but we keep doing them because it's familiar to us. We know exactly what's going to happen, we know how it's going to play out, we're comfortable with it. This is what's going on with us. So a lot of times when we are doing something new, or we're pushed into a new setting, or we have a new idea or something new we're taking on, that familiarity can pull us back into something, even if it wasn't good for us, because again, we know what's going to happen, we know what it's going to be like. It's just some place we've identified a sense of self within it. So the second thing that could be happening is, everything that we've done up until this point was part of us and did make us who we are today. And so this is something that, like, even if you um didn't particularly, you had to stop doing something, or you had to let a relationship go, or you had to move on from something, that experience has been added to your soul and made part of your makeup and your DNA, and just who you are as a person. And so that was part of us. And so it's hard for us to imagine, well, who would I be if this didn't happen, or this thing wasn't in my life? Because guess what, it was. And so a lot of times, if we have something that was part of us, even if it's not there for us anymore, part of, like, again, the human experiences, we can romanticize certain things or experiences or people or things that were part of us that maybe we don't want to have be part of us anymore. But the romanticizing of it, can just be something that we default on, or that we feel like, okay, well, because this was part of my life and part of who I was, then I'm still going to choose to think of it in this certain way. But the truth is, just because something was part of us and made us who we are, doesn't mean that it deserves to come with us into these next layers of our life, into these next places we want to grow and expand, in who we are. And so just because something was, again, part of you, it does, you do have memories with it, doesn't mean that it's meant to last forever or be in your life for your whole lifetime. And sometimes for people that can be really triggering or upsetting, because we're taught so many things, the value of them is how long they can last, but something can be very, very successful and not meant to be in your life for forever. And so if something was part of you, you can remember it fondly and send some love and compassion to it, but also knowing that it's not meant to move on to the next layer of your life for whatever reason. And then another reason why we might miss something that wasn't good for us was because maybe it wasn't 100% bad, right? So if you chose something in your life, and you were actively choosing it to be part of your life, you were doing the best you could at the time, and it was fulfilling a certain need you had. And maybe you got healthier and you realized, okay, that's not the way I want to fulfill my certain need anymore, or I'm growing past this, and this isn't a way that is healthy for me to fulfill a certain need, or I want something different than this. So maybe, you've grown out of that, but at the time you were doing the best you could. And so part of you chose, we have certain parts of us that we have to if you're into, evolving on the soul level, which I'm assuming you are watching this YouTube video, we have parts of us that want to expand and grow and change. And there are some parts of us that are okay where they are. And then we have to, get to that next layer of development and evolution, and the thing just becoming more clear about who we are and what we want in our lives at certain points in our life. And so there was a time when that thing was a right and perfect match for you, even if it was because of like something unhealthy, or, not the best or most ideal way you would have chosen or dealt with something in the past. So this is really just remembering that, you chose that for you because it was a match on some level. If it was 100% not a match for you, you wouldn't have chosen it for whatever reason. And this doesn't mean that, you did something and it was totally horrible, or it wasn't serving you, or it wasn't helpful for you. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that at the time, that was the best you can do, and it wasn't all bad. And so kind of like forgiving yourself to remember that, okay, at one point in time, the parts that were appealing or were a good fit to me or were a good match to me were okay until they weren't, right? It's fine until it's not. And so this is remembering that you just, it wasn't all bad at the time. And you just kind of grew out of it, and it wasn't a complete match for you anymore. And then the last reason for why you might miss something that wasn't good for you is because maybe you still like it, but it's just not good for you anymore. Or you still like it, but long term it's more damaging than the positive effects that it's worth, right? So I am a recovering addict. And so for me, part of me would love if I could still get drunk and do drugs, but I can't. It's just not sustainable for me. It doesn't work for me. And so I know that long term, when I think about it, this is something that gives me a hit in the moment and feels good, but long term, it just doesn't work for me anymore. And so you can still miss something and like something and know that it can't be part of your life anymore, right? So this could be a person who's unhealthy for you. It could be a habit. It could be a job. It could be, just take it how it resonates for you. But there is a time and a place for something that, it can be confusing to the ego, but we can like something. It doesn't mean it's good for us, and there's a lot of things that we don't like that we know are better for us long term. So it's about, filtering out some of these ego hits or things that maybe seem like they're super appealing to us when actually they're just appealing in the moment. But if we look at the picture long term, or think all the way through doing this activity or being here long term, or, just whatever's going on with it, the long term health and the long term benefits are not worth the little bit of what's going on with that. So it's okay if you still like something. You can like something and know that it can't be for you. It's part of the human experience, and part of, as we grow and change, what we have to learn to say yes to and what we have to learn to say no to. And then the last thing I want to say about this topic is, if you watch this whole video and you're like, okay, sounds good, but none of that really resonates for me, so what is the answer? If there's not a reason that you can logically think of, that's okay. There might not be a logical reason, right? As humans, we know so little. Our human mind can only process so little information of what's going on in physical reality in our own lives and things in our life for us. And so there might not be a logical reason, like those four I listed, or something else, for why you miss something. You could just be missing it. You could just be, some other emotion got triggered and you're projecting it onto this other thing, right? Maybe you're not missing it for the reason you think you are. It's just, it's being filtered in that way for some reason. So if that's what's happening to you, you can let yourself miss something and know that you don't have to act on it. You can let yourself miss something and know that you don't have to allow it back into your life. You can let yourself miss something and know that you don't have to reach out to that person, or you don't have to question your decision on, is this something that I should allow in my life if I'm missing it, right? It's just a natural ebb and flow of life to miss things that were once part of us, even if they weren't the best thing for us at the time. So just even if, you can't find a logical reason, as always, you can give yourself some compassion, some understanding, and just realize, okay, I'm just missing this thing in this moment, but it's not actually for me long term. So I'm just going to give myself permission to feel my feelings, feel whatever's coming up, and then let it go. And, the feeling will pass. Well, it always does. As long as we feel it and give yourself permission to feel it, it's going to pass and you're going to work through it. So that's everything I have for you today. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.